Inauguration Day comes and goes without any of the turmoil that overtook the same venue 2 weeks before. We'll talk with Governor Whitmer about that and Job 1, which remains the pandemic. Also the latest from Dr. Janae Caldoun. And our roundtable on new beginnings. Today is Sunday, January 24th, 2021, and this is Flashpoint.
Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. 1 week ago today, January 17th, we were keeping a watchful eye on the Capitol buildings all over the country. The chatter had worry and a little menace hanging in the air, but that Sunday passed quietly. That moved the worry needle pointing to Wednesday, when we had such a massive presence of soldiers guarding Capitol Hill that some feared this most American of ceremonies wouldn't look all that American at all. But here again, tradition won out, giving us the expected helpings of poems, prayers, and promises. Even the walk on Pennsylvania Avenue was allowed to happen as the Bidens made their way to the White House. Now, I'm not skipping over all the irregularities. Certainly, we missed the crowds. The masked faces reminded us that we're neck deep in the virus crisis. And for the first time since 1869, the outgoing president skipped the swearing in of his successor. But there was an overwhelming sense of relief that violence and mayhem were kept at bay. And coming up this morning, my conversation with Governor Whitmer, who served as co-chair of the Presidential Inaugural Committee. I'll also ask about her plans now moving ahead on the pandemic, including the return of indoor dining for restaurants, which is scheduled to begin next Monday, February 1st. And we'll talk about vaccines with Dr. Janae Caldoun, our roundtable coming in on new starts, both in Washington and for one fellow named Kwame Kilpatrick. All today on Flashpoint. All right, let's start this morning with a quick conversation I got to have with Governor Whitmer on Wednesday. She was a co-chair of the Presidential Inaugural Committee, and this was just a few hours after Joe Biden became the nation's 46th president. I started by asking her if all of the restrictions that had to be put in place took anything away from the occasion.
No, not at all. Actually, as I watched and as I communicated with loved ones who were watching on television safely from home, it was as powerful a moment for every one of us. We were tuned in. We were overwhelmed with pride and emotion when Vice President Harris went up to take her oath. Sitting there watching it with my two daughters was just it was really an incredible moment, and I know that so many people felt that around our country and around the globe. We have a lot of work ahead of us. There won't be a honeymoon for them as there are for many incoming administrations. They got to get right to work, and they know it, and they are determined, and I think they're surrounding themselves with an incredible team that will make sure we're successful in eradicating the virus, getting people back to work, getting kids back to school, and preparing us for economic strength.
Yeah, you know, I want to ask you more about that in just a minute, but before I do, give me an idea after what we saw 2 weeks ago, the events not only at the U.S. Capitol, but the worries that we had at capitals all over the country. Give me an idea, now that we're past this big moment, give me an idea of where your worry level was on a scale of 1 to 10, that something untoward might happen.
Well, I was most concerned about Sunday. The kind of briefings that we were getting from the FBI and federal law enforcement agencies were very concerning. I know that there was a lot of concern about 3 capitals in the nation, and ours was one of them. And so we took it very seriously and did the preparations. And lo and behold, we did not get inundated by, kind of the groups that we were concerned about. And had we would have been prepared. But I think that we have to do our due diligence and make preparations, because people of our country have seen and bore witness and experienced a lot of domestic terrorism in the last 12 months, and most recently perpetrated on our U.S. Capitol. And I wanted to make sure nothing like that played out at our state capitol this week. And we're fortunate in that none did. People are safe, and we were able to keep the peace.
So you were at a 7, an 8?
Sure. I was on the higher range, that's for sure. And, I'm a pretty stoic person. I've been through a lot in this last 12 months. We as a nation have been through a lot. We as a state have been through a lot. I'm not complaining. I know my burden is lighter than many. So I don't complain, but I also, I don't react strongly. I think I'm a little seasoned now in that regard. And so I was pretty concerned, though, going into this past weekend. And I'm glad that we are in the position that we are.
You know, there is this reality, though, that as much as you enjoyed the inauguration, there were a lot of Americans who had the opposite reaction. We remain a very divided nation. What is your prescriptive for that? What do we do? We see it, of course, in Michigan right now.
Yeah, no question. Well, I think who's at the top really matters. 2 weeks ago, when we saw the violence breaking out of the U.S. Capitol, it was being egged on and encouraged by the person who was, sitting in the White House. That's very clear. Even Mitch McConnell has acknowledged that fact. Now we have someone in the White House who is going to do everything he can to bring calm and focus and determination and unity to this nation. It won't happen overnight, but I do think that he is going to be calling on people's better angels, and we'll find a lot of people who are ready to lock arms with him, who are not traditional allies.
Well, then let me ask you now about the pandemic, because as I say, if you're a Democrat, the good news is you now control all three levers of government. The bad news is you now control all three levers of government. There's no one else to blame. It's all on you. This is kind of an aircraft carrier. It doesn't exactly turn on a dime. So we got a lot of problems right now with getting the vaccine distributed. How quickly do you think we can create a new footing for moving forward against the pandemic?
Well, they've been getting prepared since they were declared the victors of the presidential election. And so it's been a couple of months that they've been working diligently to ensure that they've got a plan they can implement on day one. As someone that's been close to the president, our administration is one with whom they've been conferring regularly, whether it is on what we need to get people back to work and to help small businesses, including restaurants, as one example, or it is getting our kids back in school, or it is getting our arms around this pandemic. Michigan has been sharing and helping form what their plans are for day one. You use an airline carrier as your analogy. I liken things to a locomotive, right? It's hard and it's bumpy and it's jerky at the beginning, but we are picking up steam. What we need is regular, predictable access to vaccines. I believe this administration will buy every vaccine they can get their hands on and get them to the states as quickly as possible. I think that we will see a dramatic improvement on that in the coming days and weeks. And so we will be moving a lot faster and it'll be a lot smoother. But there's no question this has been more difficult than I think it should have been, knowing this was coming for 10 months and still not having a national strategy. But now that we have a Biden administration, I think that's going to change dramatically pretty quickly.
You know, I've already had some people getting in touch with me saying, yeah, now the governor wants to reopen the economy. Now she wants to open restaurants on February 1st. She didn't want to do that when Trump was president. She wants to do it now. The pandemic is worse, but she wants to reopen the economy now that Joe Biden is president. Why aren't they right about that?
That's not accurate at all. In fact, if you look at Michigan's numbers with COVID, you can see that we are in a stronger position than any other Midwestern state. This pause that we took in Michigan has worked, and we're in a much stronger position. Our hospitals did not get overwhelmed. Some of our neighboring states, they won't do non-emergent surgeries. You remember last spring when we had to say if it's non-emergent, you can't do the surgery, because we needed to conserve PPE. We needed to keep the number of people in our hospitals down so that we didn't see extra spread of COVID. We're not in that position now. Non-emergent surgeries are happening in all of our hospitals because we have kept the numbers down because of this pause. So we're in a stronger position. We can start re-engaging some things, and largely our economy has been open for the better part of the last 8 months. There's just indoor dining that is one of the last things to come online, and it's not the restaurant's fault. It's just how this virus spreads. But now we're in a much stronger position, and we're looking to moving forward even in that space.
All right, that was Governor Whitmer from Washington on Wednesday. Let's stay with